She's a team player. She has a lot of self-confidence, which is another thing you have to be a champion. There are no limits. Last spring, Annie wanted it the most, and she took it.
Let's go! Let's go!
Annie, it's been a few months now since you became only the 4th national champion ever at Center College by winning the steeplechase at the track and field championships. How's it kind of feel? I mean, what does it feel like now when you have the word national champion put in front of your name?
It's definitely really cool. It's something that I think I always, especially coming into last season, dreamed of and really, really wanted. It's worn off a little bit, but it's still really exciting, and I think it's still just, it was my biggest goal, and I wasn't really sure if I was ever going to be able to get that, so it means a lot to me, and all the work that I put in, I just know now that like the work I put in will help later.
It was impressive enough. You shattered your personal record, one of the best times ever in Division III. What was even more impressive is to watch the way you just stalked that girl that was leading the whole time. Now, I know you're a psychology major.
Yeah.
Was there some special psychology that was going into this, let's wait till the last hurdle and then let me just smoke her then?
A little bit. I mean, it's a pretty basic racing strategy. I learned that a lot from my coaches, and a previous coach I had, Victor, he also ran here, just about the different ways to race. And so honestly, going into that race, that was not my strategy.
Okay.
I was going to follow her and then with 800 to go make a move. But I knew that we were going a little faster. I didn't know how fast, but I knew we were going faster. And so I was like, oh, I'll just keep hanging on here. And then I was just like, you know what? At the end of the day, I was a soccer player and a basketball player, and I can sprint, and I do not like being beaten in a sprint. And so I was like, I'll leave it down to the end. And watching her go over the barrier, she steps on them, which is less efficient. And so I was just like, I put in all this work into being able to hurdle the barriers, like a lot of work, and I was like, I'm not gonna lose to someone who steps on them. And so I used that to kind of propel me forward and pass her.
I'm going to guess you didn't grow up dreaming of being a national champion in the steeplechase because in high school you played 4 sports, and soccer seemed to be the sport you concentrated on.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I played tennis. I ran track and field 2 seasons, and I did basketball and soccer all 4 years. So yeah, soccer, I came into my junior or senior year of high school and was like, I'm going to play soccer in college. Like, that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, things changed, obviously, but I think it worked out.
So how did Lisa get you down here on the run track and cross country?
So when I decided that I wanted to run in college, which was my junior year of high school, I decided, I was kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I'm behind on being recruited for soccer, and for whatever reason I was like, I guess track is okay. I was like, I'll run cross country and track in high school, because mostly I just wanted to be a college athlete. And so I emailed all the coaches of several D3 schools and was like, here's my times. I haven't ran cross country, but I've been playing soccer, and like, I think that I could be good, but I don't know. Like, I've never run. And some of those coaches responded, and they were just like, oh yeah, come visit, you'd fit in. I immediately got a response back from Coach Owens that was, please come, I'd love to have you, I think it could be amazing. And I mean, she just kept feeding that to me, like, I believe in you, I think you could be one of the best. I don't think she thought I was gonna be this good, but she was definitely like, I believe that you could be really good, and she was just so excited. And the other coaches just weren't, and I thought, and I kind of knew, like, even as a junior, like, my times were better than some other girls on the team now, so like, I knew I'd be at the top of their programs. So yeah.
You're either the best coach in the world or the luckiest coach in the world. And you've got a girl that ended up becoming national champion, the first female national champion at Center College, who basically thought she was always going to come to college and be a soccer player. Didn't even start track and field or cross country until she's a junior at high school. So what did you see when she reached out, or when you reached out to her? Why did you think this girl that had always played soccer could come here and maybe be an integral part of your teams?
I knew she had played soccer and never run cross country, but I knew what her track times were. And they weren't anything extra special, but they were solid for someone who was not a year-round runner. And that's the key to being the best runner you can be, is never allowing your body to get out of shape and continuously building on the previous season. So I knew the track times she had run were just track times, and they did not hinge on a previous running season before that. She was a soccer player. So they were solid times. Times that I felt I could bring in here and develop into something much better if she were a year-round runner. So that's what intrigued me about her initially without knowing her. And I don't claim to know everything about running by any means, and I'm constantly learning, but I think I've got a pretty good handle on how to train runners, and I love the development of runners. So bringing her in here, knowing that she would get better, feeling like she would get better, was one thing. I never dreamed she would become what she became. But I didn't know her well enough. I didn't know her tenacity and her competitive drive and her will to put everything into it. And once I realized that, there was nothing holding back. I've put everything into her and have asked her to do more than I've ever asked any other female to do that I've coached, and she's been very receptive to it. And she's got a strong body and she can withstand it. But so far, she has trusted me, which has put a lot of pressure on me to not let her down and to make sure I'm training her appropriately. So it's a good working, trusting relationship that we've been very blessed to have built, and she's doing phenomenal things.
Is it the little things that separates who becomes a national champion like her versus maybe who doesn't?
I think the little things separate you from being just the average All-American, and I say that lightly because that's a huge honor, but separates from being the All-American to being the potential national champion. And you know, with being a national champion, such as this fall, you know, and even last spring, which there's fewer girls on the track in the spring, but you know, come this fall with cross country, there's probably 10 to a dozen girls that have the ability to win the national championship. What it's going to come down to, in particular this fall, and it did some last spring, was you know, who's healthy, who's injury-free at the moment, who's peaking properly, and just frankly, who wants it the most. And last spring, Annie wanted it the most, and she took it.
She was a four-sport star in high school. If there was in track, if you went to her and said, how many events do you want me to let you do in a meet? Would she do any? I mean, is there anything you think she thinks she couldn't do?
No, she's a team player. She has a lot of self-confidence, which is another thing you have to be a champion. It's not an arrogance, I mean, but it's a confidence in self that there are no limits. And she's going to try whatever, but she thinks wholeheartedly about team in that aspect when you're talking about track. And so when it comes to maybe the potential of our women's team winning a conference track title, she'll do whatever you ask her to do. And that's even knowing that she's got nationals on the line and other things later. A lot of runners would be pretty selfish and just limit themselves so they can save themselves for later, but she's always been the type that she's very giving and she wants to do everything she can for the sake of the team. And that's to be admired by a coach and her teammates.
I think you would run 15 events in every meet if they would let you, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm a little notorious for kind of being able to do whatever coach wants me to do, which often can translate into 5 different events at conference. So yeah.
So the steeplechase, is that your best event, do you think, or not?
Yeah, I do think so. I think that if you look at my other times, they're not where I should be for the times that I run in the steeplechase. I think that my steeplechase is up here, and even my 5K and other times, they should be faster. And I'm aware of that, because other girls who run what I ran the steeplechase, I mean, they're 16:45 in the 5K. So I think it's the perfect endurance race. Being a soccer player, I have coordination and stuff like that, and then also just the distance, like the 3,000 meters. My best event in high school is the 2 mile, which is only 200 longer, and it's just the perfect like medium between long distance, like the 5K, and having endurance, but also like some speed, like the mile.
There are things about Annie that make her as good as she is. There's 3 things in particular that I would pick out. Obviously the talent that she has, just the God-given gift is something that cannot be denied. You have to have that to reach an elite level, so she obviously has that, but she has a tremendous amount of work ethic. She does all the little things. I mean, the running training, and I've told her this, the running training is not enough. I mean, it's a huge part of what she does and what she's become, but it's the little things that she pays attention to that most people don't, that separate her and make her the best she can be. And you know, that's working in the weight room, that's core work, hip flexor mobility work, proper nutrition, proper hydration, getting good sleep, mental preparation, foam rolling, ice baths, all the little things that take a lot of time that most people avoid doing. Besides the running training, she pays attention to all of those things. But the third thing is the competitive drive, and that is something that I can't coach. Competitive drive is something you're born with or you're not. And I think when Annie was born, she was given a double dose of it. So when you combine her competitive drive and her will to not lose and doing all the little things and doing them right, along with her talent, it creates national champions, and that's what she's become.
I have high goals, and currently on Flow Track, which is like a track and field like media site, I'm ranked 5th in D3, and I know that coach thinks I could possibly get the win or at least be top 5. So I don't know. I don't think I could be satisfied with anything less than 5. Hopefully top 5.
You know, she said that top 5 she thought was realistic, but you could tell top 5 is really not what she's thinking. She's thinking top 1.
Right. And I mean, once again, there's nothing, you can't take anything for granted in this sport. There's no clear-cut favorite, clear-cut winner. There's a lot of girls that are very talented and that are doing the right things. The separator on the day is maybe who has a little bit more competitive drive, and once again, who's healthy and peaking at the right time. But when it comes down to the wire and your top 10 girls are separated by 10 seconds or less, I mean, it comes down to just the tenacity of who wants it the most and who's willing to hurt to get it. And from what I've seen of Annie thus far in the last 3 years, she is not afraid to hurt. And she's able to tune out that pain and go get what she wants. And that doesn't mean she's going to win all the time, but she's going to win a lot of the time.
Well, she told me she runs 55 miles a week. I would think, Annie, don't make me go 55 with you. Maybe they all don't, but I mean, she must really just kind of drag them along whether they want to or not.
Right. Well, she's built up to that. You can't just throw any female into that kind of mileage. I mean, when she came into me, she had probably run less than 20 miles a week. And so we built her up to that over time, over every season. So she worked up to the 55 miles a week this summer and early fall. She actually doesn't do much training with our women, the other women. That's not saying anything against our other women. They're very strong women. But Annie's on a different level right now, and she hopes to be a professional runner in the future. So right now she trains with our middle pack of guys, and she fares very well with them. So all of her runs and workouts are with men.
So have you thought any about life after center?
Yes, I have. I would really like to run professionally. Next year, I am about to probably start contacting coaches and seeing if I can do that. So right now, that's the goal, is to run professionally for a couple years. I've only been training for like 3. So, I mean, my ultimate goal is just to qualify for the Olympic trials. I can't make it to the Olympics, but
I never say never. I mean, you never know.
Well, to make it to qualifying is right now my highest goal. We'll see where it goes and how much faster I can get, but I just think that being able to train and just focus on training, and with, I mean, especially as a female distance runner, you don't have your peak till 25, and then along with that, I'm still getting really large PRs, so that indicates to me that I still have more. So I'd like to chase down that dream a little bit, and then I'm thinking about coaching.
Wow.
So.
Well, what an incredible story it would be, though, for a girl that grew up thinking she's going to be a college soccer player, come out of state to Center College, win a national championship, then end up having to change maybe to go professional.
Yeah.
That almost sounds like a fairy tale.
I know, yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a professional track and field athlete come out of Center College. How realistic is that for her to even think that's a possibility?
Right. It's a very good possibility. I mean, there's plenty of club teams around the country, and Nike and ASICS and some different organizations that sponsor runners. So she's going to start pursuing that pretty soon to see where she may fit in with that. But her ultimate goal is to make the Olympic trials in the next Olympics in the steeplechase. And I think that's a very realistic goal for her. And as I've told her all along, I wouldn't tell her that if I didn't think it was a good possibility. So she's still got a lot of developing to do. You know, the thing with Annie, her body's not all used up from running since she was 8 years old. She started this late in the game, I mean, comparatively with some other runners. So her running career basically started as a junior in high school. So I'm not going to say that she's still raw. She does still have developing and learning to do, but her body is still pretty fresh as a runner. So I think she's got a lot more things that she can accomplish. And once she gets outside of academic life and can completely focus on running for a time, she's only going to do better if she can stay healthy and injury-free and get in with the right program.